Hi, I'm Renee.
And I'm Debbie, and together
We
we
are
are
the
the
Round
Round
Table
Table
Recap.
Recap.
Hey, welcome back. We are on Celebrity Traitors, Season 1, Episode 5, and they start off at the breakfast table. And this is where Stephen, he brings up the whole idea that it could be Charlotte because of what Claire says upon her getting voted out the night
Right.
before. And Alan, he even jumps on the bandwagon. And it's like, oh yeah, we should watch for her expression. And meanwhile, he's stuffing cheese in his mouth because he's trying to hide a smile to
Yeah.
because all of his tells, all if they were just like for such a like I feel like this group is very, very smart compared to a lot of the contestants from
Right.
previous seasons, but I mean, I guess I just chalk it up to that's just Alan and his like quirkiness, but I'm like, he has
I
all
know.
these tells.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
he even said, "Yeah, I'm gonna stuff cheese in my mouth just to keep from grinning." Because he was, so, I think he was just so proud of himself about. I mean, he knew that Charlotte would not be walking through the door, and he just felt like having gotten one over on Stephen Fry. He was just
Yeah.
so proud of himself.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And so yeah, you find out that Charlotte's the one who they decide to eliminate the night before. And I was like, oh, see, they could have voted out or eliminated Kate because there was no one suspecting her.
Right.
And left like all that heat on Charlotte for, the next day. But I mean, it still did what it wanted, the traders wanted it to do, which was create the chaos and like, why
Mhm.
was it Charlotte that was gone?
Right.
Um, but I still am like, could have Charlotte in there as a good a scapegoat.
Yeah, but even when it went back to the turret, I mean, even Alan said they'll be asking, "Why Charlotte? Why
Hmm.
Charlotte?" And I mean, if that's what they wanted to accomplish, that's what they accomplished.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it
Yeah,
works.
and I thought Kat brought up a good point too, that by eliminating Charlotte, then it couldn't be tied to any of the three of them.
Yeah, yeah, which is true. So after breakfast, I have this is where Joe M. He straight up tells Mark that he suspects him, and it's his number one suspect, but really in his confessional, he's like, I really think it's Jonathan. Um, and I don't know if it's at this confessional or later on where he talks about that he doesn't want to take the head person out, which is Jonathan of the Traitors, because he feels that, oh, it is later that he feels that Jonathan will eventually throw another traitor under the
Mhm.
bus. So he wants to kind of keep him in there and go after Mark at this point.
Right. Yeah. When, going back to the breakfast, I
Mhm.
just think that with Jonathan, he's so good because he's just like, he doesn't ever overreact. He's like, "What? Oh,"
Yeah, yeah, he's got a subtle reaction. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. He's just kind of blending in with
Mhm.
everybody. I just think that's so good that yeah, he's not over the top on anything. So,
Yeah. For the most part, I feel like this group really like zooms in on anyone who slightly overreacts or has any type. So I feel like as a whole, they're like, like minimize our reactions because
right. Yeah.
otherwise it puts a big target on this group for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Well,
yeah,
they're
mhm.
actors.
Which is what actually gets brought up after breakfast because uh I forgot who says it, but someone is suspicious of all the it's Joe, suspicious of all the actors because he feels like, they would be able to basically blend in and play a role really good. So, and then
Right.
it just so happened all these actors came and sat around him. Yeah.
He's like, "Okay, I'm suspicious of all of you."
Yeah. 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 And then the another conversation that was going on was with Kat, and I think Kat is holding on to blend in. She keeps holding on to that theory, of
Right.
the same theory, Stephen or Jonathan. Um, and she even says at this point that she'll do like she's basically essentially looking out for herself to save herself at this point.
Right.
Um, and I think that's why she was using this example or repeats the same thing of her suspicion to everybody.
Yeah, she's not throwing out any new theories, so that's good. She did bring up Jonathan's name, but his name's been brought up a lot. So I think, yeah, it was just her way of also trying to blend in. And I mean, so far they're not throwing anybody under the bus right now, so that's good. Yeah, I mean, it kind of raised an eyebrow when she threw out Jonathan's name, but then you realize everybody's throwing out his name, so
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it puts any extra heat on him at this point, anyways.
right.
And moving on to the mission.
Yeah, on their way to the mission in the car with Alan. I think it's Alan and Joe M and David, and Alan brings up the point that, Mark, who's usually played, I mean, he's an actor. He has played some, not so good,
Yeah.
you know, characters. And so Alan's like, really, do you think he would really go to Claudia and say, "Oh, I want to be a faithful. I don't want to be a traitor." you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and which was a good point. It's a valid point because he's an actor and he has played those parts before.
Yeah, and it'd be a pretty easy role, I feel,
Mhm.
yeah, for him to pick up and play.
Yeah,
And of course, it takes the heat off of Alan
right,
or, any of the actual traders themselves.
right.
But
Alan's so good at that. He's just so good at like throwing in things like that. And that's why I said last time, like he's so smooth in the way that he does it because it doesn't it's like, yeah, that it makes what he says makes sense. It doesn't,
mm,
he's not raising any suspicions. I just think the way he does it is really, really good.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Because I mean, even later on, he does it again at the round table, how he brings
Right.
up somebody. So, yeah, I think he has a good way of not necessarily deflecting. It's just, yeah, as you said, just bringing them up in a way
Mhm.
that doesn't make people question why he's, saying something about that person.
Right.
Yeah. And then in the other car too, you had the Joe, Mark, and Jonathan, and they bring up, I can't remember exactly who it was, but that Steven is the one that's been kind of being the one that leads the round tables. And obviously,
Right.
because they haven't gotten a traitor yet, they're starting to now look at Steven as, maybe he's leading them. So he's leading them away from the traitors discussion. So,
Yeah, because at this point they're what halfway through. So far they started off with 19. They're down to 12, so they've lost seven faithfuls. So
mhm.
you figure, I think the most you can have at the end is five. So they're halfway there, and they're thinking, why haven't we got a traitor yet? And so they're
Mhm.
looking at. I like that they're looking at other theories that okay, who is misdirecting us?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think this group works well together and is pretty smart about their theories, but for some reason when it comes to the round table and who they decide on, it's like out the door.
I
Like
know.
through the whole episode, you're like, okay, yeah, yeah, they may get a traitor this time.
Right, right,
No, no. But going to the mission, they had the different traps. So, a lot of them because there were in regards to the four people have already been eliminated each question. And so they could like split up the money, depending on if they felt confident in their answer or not. So the first one, they pretty much, it was a guess.
right,
And so there's Alan and Nick and they split up the money. And so Nick, he gets a shield because he picked the right answer. But I
right.
did like Alan's kind of like, well, if he's got 96 for Tom's, what was it,
Yeah,
dives?
yes,
He's like, I would try to hit 100 at least. So I was like, yeah,
yeah,
I mean that would make sense to me.
yeah,
But
yeah.
and then
But
he
he was,
Steven did it really quick. He's like, well, there's been four Olympics, so he's like 96 is to,
oh yeah,
uh,
Stephen, yeah,
yeah. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
he's smart. He's a smart cookie. Um And then the second one, it was another guess as well. So there was four of them, and then of course Lucy is the one who got the shield on that one.
Right.
But then
Yeah.
the next two questions was pretty much they got him right because of Jonathan. I
Right.
mean, the third one, they, decided to go all in on one guess. So David got that shield, and then the last one, he wasn't 100% confident, but confident enough to put more money on one of the answers, which was correct. And Jonathan himself got the shields.
Yeah. Yeah. You had that last one about what was Paloma's former job. Was it
Mhm.
a face painter or was it a ghost in, I forget what, a ghost in something. And Jonathan's like, I'm pretty sure it was a ghost. I'm pretty sure it was a ghost. And then in his confessional, it's like, well, she looks like a ghost.
Yeah. When you think of what she could be between the two options. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. I mean,
But yeah,
it was pretty, yeah, I mean, the logic was pretty spot on, I think, to guess,
yeah.
that one over the other one.
Yeah, yeah. But his other one with Charlotte, that was good that Jonathan was around to give the clues about Charlotte because he knew her during that time of when she started, like I guess when she around the time when she got her first number one in the UK.
Yeah,
So
he said that it was like he was on the show or he was an interviewer or something, so
right,
that sort. So he was able to narrow down the age,
yeah.
which, yeah, I thought was
But
really good.
but I'm glad that he was around to be able to give them that information because if he had been like say in the first or second trap and he got because once they get trapped they get left out of the game,
Hmm.
out of the mission. So it was a good thing that he stuck around and was able to give them that information. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So because they went all in on they went all in on that one.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, like I said, I don't feel like it was because of Jonathan is why they were able to get as much money or, win the last two questions. So
Right. Yep. Yeah, because they got the 7,000 out of 10,000 pounds. So that was good,
yeah,
I
yeah, that
thought.
was a pretty good mission for them.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, in the car back, is when Lucy, Kat, and Nick are in a car, and Lucy again brings up the whole thing about Steven, which I thought was interesting because they weren't part of the original car that brought up in regards to Stephen leading the roundtable, but she brings it up too. So I
Right.
wonder if they would just wasn't, on camera or not, that there
Right.
was some
Could be.
discussion at the mission, but I'm like, what are the odds that nobody in that original car has like the same thought, as this group? But
Right. Yeah.
um yeah, and then they
Yeah.
get back and then this is
Well,
where, oh, go
and then
ahead.
in the other car with Alan and Mark, Alan said that, he's going to bring up, or I think he said that people should be encouraged to bring up their own theories and Mark asked him, well, are you going to bring, do you have one to bring up? He's like, yeah. And he's like, well, well, what is it? And he's like, I'm not going to say, I'm going to bring it up at the round table. He's like, well, um, did Mark think it was about him or Alan said,
No,
that was about,
Alan says it's about you and you're not gonna like it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and then they pull up and then they get out.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, I thought that was funny too. I
yeah,
don't know, I didn't jot that down, but yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Alan's like, yeah, yeah, it's about you.
Yeah.
Well, at least he's honest.
Right, right. I think a lot of people in that or a lot of the competitors kind of say to people's face what they really think
Right.
um at the time that they're thinking it versus waiting. I mean, there's some people that wait till a round table, but I think for the most part, they kind of already approach that person or already talk. I feel anyways.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think David though was the one. It might be later on, but anyways, David suspects Joe M,
Mhm.
and Joe M found out about it because of Joe W.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that was right after they got back from the mission.
Oh, right, right, yeah,
Is yeah, yeah, when he says that he suspects Joe, because Joe's the one that's been pushing the people of, yeah, who end up being faithfuls.
Well, it was because I think there was a discussion about Mark, and then David asked, "Well, who's pushing Mark? Who's pushing, the narrative?" And then Joe, did Joe M admit to it or
No, no, it was
some?
Cat, or I think it
Oh,
was Cat because they were in the kitchen. It was a group
oh,
of them.
yeah, that's right. That's right. It was Joe W, David, Alan, and Kat, and they were talking about, yeah, the different ones. But then, and then David asked who was pushing the Mark narrative, and then that's when they said it, Joe M. So
Yeah,
that's when David became suspicious, which is unfortunate because he said it around Joe W. But who has? I mean, Joe W. and Joe M. are in a type of an alliance. So yeah,
yeah, yeah, and he goes and tells this to Joe when they're around Jonathan as well. So they kind of
right, right,
speculate too in regards to David and why is he now speaking up at this
right,
point in the game when he's been so quiet up to this
right.
point. Yeah,
Yes.
which brings us to the round table. And again, you can kind of see that people are a little over all over the board. No surprise there because what Jonathan starts out this one, and he starts off with Stephen, who I feel like defended himself just like kind of how Jonathan would have defended himself. Like it's kind of like
Right.
the similar type of manner, the like um
Yeah.
how he, talks about it and is like, yeah, I see your
Hmm.
point, but all I have is to say this and just very calm. And so
Yes. Yeah.
they are very similar in that
Yes.
nature.
Yes.
And then you have Joe who brings up Mark, and then Lucy and Alan question Mark as well. They kind of
Yeah.
jump in. And David, he questions Joe. Someone throws Kate then in the hot seat because they're like, well, we haven't heard anything from you.
Yeah, that's way down. That's Nick. That's way later because yeah, Joe M is the one. He says Mark's a traitor, and then and he brings up the fact about Mark observing others and then throwing Tamika under the bus, and then saying that he overreacted to Claire's eviction or banishment, and because I guess Mark slapped the table when
Oh,
Claire
mhm.
was, and then Alan jumps on the bad bandwagon about going after Mark. And then, yeah, that's when Alan brings up the fact about he doesn't believe that Mark would have told Claudia, that he wanted to be a faithful, considering his background and everything.
Yeah.
And then that's there's a couple more. I think David tries to come to Mark's defense, and then he tries to direct it at Joe M.
Mhm.
And then that's when it gets directed at Kate, and then Nick also goes after Kate. There's
Yeah.
so
Well, yeah,
there's
yeah, because there's a couple of people that question Kate for basically not being helpful up to this point, not throwing out information or
right,
theories. So, I mean, essentially, in other traders, I feel like she would have been voted out just for being a bad trait or a bad faithful. Because
right.
if you're not bringing anything to the game, then why are we keeping you here? Uh, but yeah, and then yeah, Joe W goes after David for, why
Right.
is he now speaking up?
Yeah, but before that, wasn't it interesting, right? Everybody's going after Kate, but who does Kate name? Because they're like, you don't throw out any theories, you don't have any suspicions. That's why, everybody, that's why certain people think that Kate might be a traitor. And so then they kind of put Kate on the hot seat, like, well, who do you think? Are you going to speak up? Who do you think is a traitor? But isn't it interesting who she names?
Well, she said she thought it was Nick. She was
Yeah,
thinking Nick, and then she's like, well, then I thought Jonathan, and
yeah,
then I forgot who
and
the last
Cat.
cat. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so
Oh,
isn't that?
yeah, that's right. Because she's like, yeah, I wasn't suspecting you. And then
Yeah,
yeah.
I thought it was funny she named 2 of the traitors.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
someone that doesn't have any idea, yeah, she's got 2 out of the 3 and doesn't even realize it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's true. But then you got David pointing to Jonathan and brings up the whole thing regarding Ruth again.
right, yeah,
And then Mark puts Kat now in the hot seat to be like, I want to hear your theories. And I kind of
right,
liked how Kat did her because again, she brought up the whole big dog theory, but then
right,
she redirects it and says, but now I'm thinking David to kind of like
right,
put the heat back on David and to not put the heat on, at least her fellow traitor Jonathan.
right, yes,
And
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I just think it was really good that Joe W. I mean, he had some really good points because he even said that he thinks that the traders are just creating chaos, um, which was, I mean, which is what they
true.
are trying to do.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why nobody can agree. And
Yeah.
when they get to the round table, nobody can agree. So I thought, yeah, it's just so funny to see how different ones are picking up different are zeroing in on different clues. Like some of them get really close.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean essentially they're all of I am not all of them, but a lot of them said at the round table, you're just going to have to vote on what theory sounds best to you because at this point nobody has any facts or
Right.
not enough concrete evidence to go off of, so you really are
Yeah.
just voting with whichever one makes the most sense.
Yeah. And for being halfway through the game, I think that's so good with the traders. I think, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really good because like Jonathan even said, he's like, I'm a trader with not with 9 lives, or I'm a cat with 9 lives. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Uh,
And even again, the how the voting ended at this round table, it led to, well, a tie. There's 2 other people in that, but essentially it was a tie between Mark and David. And so they all had to re-vote again. And for the
right.
first time ever for the traders, they ended up in another tie.
Yeah.
And oh, go ahead.
Well, this is yeah, this is it's the first time ever for Traders UK.
Hmm.
This has happened before. I just can't remember who it happened to. If it was Traders US or Traders Australia. This has happened once before.
Oh, where I remember the tie, but I don't remember it going into
Yeah,
another.
yeah,
There was? Okay.
there was because
I'm gonna have to look back.
yeah, because I remembered when it happened and I was not happy with who went. And because it was just based on,
Is that,
fate or
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
whatever.
Oh, you know what? You're right. I can't remember. I do
Yeah,
remember. Um,
yeah. It's been a while. I
yeah,
will have to look it up. Where's my
yeah. Yeah,
where's
yeah, you're
Google?
right. But yeah, that's where this episode leads off at is you don't know who's going to go, but it's between 2 faithfuls, whether it's
Yes.
Mark or David. So,
Yeah. Yeah, so what's interesting is that after this, so a trader is not gonna go home. Plus they have, another the traders can, most likely have another elimination. So that
mhm,
means 2 more faithfuls are gonna go. That's gonna bring the total of faithfuls that will have left down to 9.
yeah.
Out of 19, 9. That's really
And
good.
a traitor has not been caught yet.
Right,
They're doing really
right.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, this is
So,
good.
yeah. So stay tuned to see the hands of fate. Who is the one to get eliminated this time? And also want to wish everybody a happy holiday. And we will see you guys next week.
Yay.